well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Swift.
Guys, for tuning in to another episode of the Fight Report with Malik Wright and Evan Dio Harris. I'm your host, Malik Wright. This is my co-host, Evan Dio Harris, and we've got a lot of stuff to get into. But before we do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. Admittedly, guys, this is not the greatest card that I've seen. We were treated last week to a nice card, I would say. Yep. Probably even over-delivered in a lot of people's eyes. To this card being a little bit more iffy, you got guys either making their debuts or guys that are, in their second fight in the UFC. And I don't even count the UFC road to Shanghai as guys, having already fought in the UFC, right? Because that's not what it is. But you still have some potential spots on this card, albeit it's very bleak, but you still got some potential spots on this card to make some real coin, some serious coin. Obviously, leading you up to the main card, the main event that everybody's excited for, part 2 of Diego Lopez taking on champion Alexander Volkanovski. Last time these two faced was at UFC 314. It's now UFC 325. A lot of stuff to get into. Evan, what are you looking forward to the most on this card, though?
Yeah, I mean, this card is very top heavy. You've got the top 3 fights, which are all entertaining, at least should be, and then it falls off pretty hard from there. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm really looking forward to what Rafael Fiziev and Mauricio Hufi could do.
Yeah, I could tell a lot of people are excited about that, namely Daniel. Those being 2 fighters he really enjoys, because Daniel doesn't appreciate wrestling too much, but he does appreciate some good kickboxers kicking each other's heads off. Anyway. Let's start it off right in the prelims. We already lost a card, a fight on the card, but you got, I'm going to pronounce his name either right or wrong, Evan. He was a 19-year-old phenomenon who just turned 20 back in, I think, July. Sulong Grangbo. Am I saying that name right?
I think so.
Sulong Grangbo taking on Lawrence Louis. Give me your thoughts on this fight, Evan, because I am strongly siding with Sulong Grangbo to win this fight.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I was watching this, and I think I'm not really blown away by many of these guys in this road to the UFC bracket that we have here at the bottom. But if there's one guy that I think could really put together a nice UFC career, I think it's Sulong Grangbo.
Yeah.
I like what he can do. He's only 20. I assume he's going to get better every time he gets in there, just because of how young he is. And his opponent here, Louis, what I saw of him was just not very good defense on the feet. He's got some solid weapons, but defensively, he's not very sound. And Sulong Grangbo is probably the best kickboxer of any of these guys in the road to the UFC tournament. I definitely think he's going to win this fight. I think minus 250 or 260, wherever he's at right now, is maybe even a little too short of a line for him, just based off of skill advantages. But I also really like him to win this fight by knockout, which I think is at plus 165. And if you really want to take a safer bet, even him by finish at plus money is a good bet for me.
Yeah, last time Sulong Grangbo was in there, he went to a decision, but before that, he had a nasty uppercut on his opponent, got his opponent out of there, and it was, it was everything you could have wanted to make a statement as to why you deserve to be in the UFC. He's the younger fighter here by 9 years. I've got a couple of notes on this as well. Obviously, I'm going to be putting a lot of it on the TWSN Patreon where you can see all my picks. But, I think that there's one area of concern with Sulong Grangbo is he's sometimes a little too over aggressive.
Yeah.
And I feel like if Louis is going to take advantage of it, it'd have to be a catastrophic mistake by Lawrence Grangbo. That's something that's going to happen early in the fight. Outside of that, he does have a lot of gaps in his game. Louis does. All right. Yeah. I think that where he might need to thrive is a little bit in the chaos of the fight. Yeah. Hoping that Sulong Grangbo would make a mistake that he'd be able to capitalize on. But I feel like Sulang Rimbo is the more is a stronger fighter. He's the guy that can control all the exchanges. He can win by a decision, or he can find a finish. The reason why I'm siding with the finish on this fight is because I don't think Louis' defensive capabilities on the feet is going to allow him to last 15 minutes with the guy Sulang Rimbo, who has the ability to put your lights out. And I think coming off a decision victory, he knows what that feels like to go a full 15 minutes in there. He's going to probably be looking to make a statement this time around. And I feel like the UFC kind of gave him the perfect opponent with a guy that is, let's just say, defensively negligent on the feet. So with that side, with that being said, I'm definitely siding with Sulang Rimbo. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think you got it perfect there. I'm going with Sulang Rangbo in this one as well.
Awesome. Let's move on up the card. We got Sebastian Zizley taking on Nakamura. Ev, who you got?
I went back and forth on this one for a little while, but I ended up going with Sebastian Saleh just because I think that Nakamura is a bit more wild and leaves himself open. I think the technical advantage lies with Saleh. I don't think Nakamura is going to look to take this one to the ground. I think this is going to be another one that stays on the feet for the most part.
Yeah.
But I just think Saleh's got the better technical skills. Nakamura struggles with some defense. I don't know if I love this one betting wise anywhere, but I do like Sebastian Saleh to win the fight.
You see, I think Nakamura has a pretty okay defense personally.
Okay.
I think he has okay defense, but I do think he doesn't have great cardio, which means as the fight, goes later, I think that you start to see those defensive breakdowns in his game, which could aid to what you're talking about and his defense not being there. Saleh is pretty much a pressure heavy fighter. I bought a bunch of notes down on these guys because I've been just watching so much of them the last 3, 4, 5 days, even since last week. Honestly, just trying to get myself familiar with their game as much. Obviously, you watch every single card, and some of these guys, you're just like, oh, that's that dude that I watch, right? That was the Sulang Rangbo for me. But yeah, I think Zizley, his keys to victory is to control the tempo. He can break Nakamura down via pressure, and I think he can get a late KO possibly later in the fight if damage does pile up. But I do think that Nakamura is tough. I do think he's defensive. I do think he can survive the early storm, and if he's able to, I think that maybe there's a path to victory here for him. But I just don't know. If he were to win the fight, I think his keys to victory is to try to slow the fight down, try and force Zizley into a low output fight. Yeah. And I guess he just would have to just rely on his durability to overall take him to the judge's scorecard. But at the same time, we talk about durability. Durability and cardio go hand in hand. So while I don't think his cardio is great and his durability might be great, at some point your durability is going to fade. Your durability is going to break down over time if your cardio is not able to keep up. So at the end of the day, that's why I side with Zizley. I think we both see it the same exact way. Yeah. Here's a fight coming up next, man, that I'm a little bit confused on. But before we get to that, if you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys never miss when we go live or when we upload content from the TWSN studios. It's Don Mar fan taking on Sang-Woo Kim. Evan, give me your thoughts on this fight. Yeah,
to be honest, this is out of any of the 3 Road to the UFC ones, this is probably the one I'm looking forward to the least. Just personally, I don't really see much that I like from either of these guys. I watched both of their semi-final fights live, and I really wasn't blown away. And then now they've got to go against each other. It just seems like 2 guys that would prefer this fight to probably be on the ground, have some sloppy striking. I ultimately am siding with Don Mar Fan, but not strongly in this one at all. I just think if both are looking to get the fight to the ground, I think Fan is better at getting it there. And because of that, I think he'll probably have more top control. And I don't think Kim's going to beat him up on the feet. So I'm going to go with Don Mar Fan by decision, but I'm definitely laying off this one in terms of betting completely.
I'm happy that you said that because the only thing that I see is sloppiness, but guys that are aggressive, guys that will just throw stupid crap. I think this is a fan fight. I think they're both aggressive. I think that they both are chaotic strikers. For that, I could not side with anybody. I'm right there with you, Evan. You know what I sided with? The fight does not go the distance at plus 120. That's where I land. I don't think this fight goes the distance. I think these are 2 chaotic fighters. I think it could end via TKO by somebody just getting cracked. I think it could end at somebody potentially getting a late submission, possibly. I just think this is going to be too much chaos, man. Not enough control, not enough patience. Give me this fight to not go the distance, man.
All right.
Let's keep it moving, man. You got Khan Offley taking on Iza. Evan, this low key might be my first underdog pick of the card. I really like Khan in this fight, I think, man. Now, admittedly, Iza's power scares me. He has this ability where he can break people. But I always felt like Khan Offley was underrated. I always felt like he had the necessary tools to win. I'm going to go a little bit deeper, but I want to get your thoughts on this fight.
Yeah. Before I make my official pick on this one, this is one of my favorite prelims on the fight or on the card. I really like this fight. I think both of these guys are underrated. I think their records are not an accurate representation of what kind of a fighter they are. I think these are two guys that could climb the ranks a little bit in this division. It's already a pretty stacked division, but they can make their name for themselves here. I don't know if I'm gonna take the upset here. I think I'm gonna side with Yijia. Offley's got a lot of good offensive weapons. He really does. I think he's got good striking that sets up his wrestling. He submitted Ricardo Ramos, and that's a great win. I mean, his last performance was very, very impressive. Ramos has been a mainstay mid-card fighter his entire career in the UFC, and for Offley to go out there and he dominated it from start to finish. So he couldn't have done anything better. But I watched that fight with him and Myron Santos, and I do still worry that his striking defense is not where I want it to be. And Yijia, as you mentioned, has really good power, and he's also really accurate with his strikes as well. For that reason, I think Yijia is going to find the win here, whether he lands a shot that puts Offley out or just does more damage throughout the fight. But it would not surprise me to see Khan Offley pull this one off, just because I like both of these guys. But my pick sides with Yijia.
And listen, I'm not 100% picking a one fighter or another just yet. You'd have to go on the Patreon for that, which is down in the description. Listen, this is a classic striker versus grappler. That's what this is. Let's just call it what it is. If Offley is able to land a takedown, he's going to win this fight. Yeah, he's going to be able to sink Iza. He's going to be able to get, the early jitters out of the way. But the longer this fight stays standing is where you see a huge warning sign above Offley's head, because the Aussie is, like you said, is extremely accurate. He's a guy that can put your lights out. I just wonder if he has the necessary game plan to try and break Iza's style, because, it's no secret. Iza wants to march forward. Iza wants to be in your face. Iza wants to apply pressure and break you down and eventually find that knockout shot. Offley wants to be smart in there. He's a guy that wants to get the takedown. And, while Offley's negligent on the feet defensively, well, Iza's negligent on the ground defensively.
Yeah.
And I can say this, whatever, and this might sound stupid, me saying this, but whatever guy is able to implement his game plan off the bat is going to win this fight. If Offley is able to go out there, get the takedown, he's going to probably be able to find the submission. If Offley's not able to go out there and get the takedown and he's being backed up along the fence, Iza's going to find the chin.
Yeah.
The question here is, who do you think is going to be able to implement their style better? Well, that's where the Yiza side is interesting. You want to know why? Because you've got to be able to do something from an output standpoint that's going to gain the respect of that striker in Yiza. You're going to have to be able to do something that's going to make him feel like, I can't just walk this guy down. And ideally, for any grappler, you want to have that ability to throw strikes out there. Offley has low output. Offley doesn't have this extreme power, danger. He's not this advanced striker, but he is a guy that he can capitalize on your mistakes. So I think his best case is hoping that, Iza, for all the accuracy we give him praise for, is maybe hoping that Iza probably goes out there, swings big, misses, and then he's able to land a takedown. That's probably his key.
Yeah.
We have not seen that from Iza. So I guess with all the nuances and all the stats and all the data to sort of back us up, I guess the smart money would be on Yiza, but I just have to caution you guys and tell you there is a real chance here, right? There is a really really good chance that Offley, if he's able to land this takedown, he will find the submission. And I want to look at it right now, Evan. If you were to bet that, because one thing I will say about Offley, when he does get you to the ground, he's pretty aggressively. He's pretty aggressive. I think he's finished over 50% of his opponents via submission when he
Plus
has gotten them to
700.
the ground. I do want to see something really quickly, though. If you were to take Offley via submission, that's sitting at plus 700. That's a value play. That is a value play, man.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. But I might have to play just a little sprinkle on it just to see what takes place, to see if I can make myself a little bit richer going into Sunday. Anyway, moving on up the card. We've got Jonathan I always pronounce his name, Miklev, taking on Oban Elliott. This is my underdog pick of the card. I am taking Oban Elliott, right? I think Oban Elliott truly is the Welsh gangster. I think this dude is an absolute problem. Evan, tell me why I'm wrong or tell me why I'm right.
I think you're right on the money with this one. I was going to say that as well. I really like Oban Elliott in this fight. And that's not a knock at Miklev for me, but just what I've seen out of Oban Elliott, this dude's good. He's really good. His base is in grappling. He's a great grappler. But he doesn't get enough credit for his striking ability as well. He sets up his grappling with his striking really, really, really well. Miklev's got great pressure on the feet, but I think Elliott can match what Miklev's going to put out there and set up his grappling. And then when it gets there, Elliott has a distinct advantage. He is the far better grappler. It's really not even close. So unless Miklev is just a far better striker than we're giving him credit for, I don't really see a way where he's going to be able to win this fight, especially on the judges' scorecards if it gets there. I just think Elliott's the far better grappler, and that's just going to be the key to victory for him. I'm also right there. I think Oban Elliott, underdog, is going to take this fight.
Man, we're agreeing. We're agreeing. Sound the alarm. Evan and I are agreeing on a pick, but Oban Elliott's the underdog in this fight, guys. Oban Elliott is the underdog in this fight. And let me tell you right now, a popular play that I really, really like that I could see real value on is Oban Elliott potentially winning this fight via decisions. There's going to be a decision in this card somewhere. And I feel like Oban Elliott is a guy that's pretty much, he has finishing upside for sure. But if you want Oban Elliott, if you like Oban Elliott to win this fight on the judges' scorecard, that's sitting at plus 200. So you get it even at better value than plus 114. That's it. Do you believe Miklev is durable enough to withstand whatever Oban Elliott throws at him? Listen, I think Oban Elliott does a very good job of controlling the pace of a fight. He has high output. He pushes forward consistently. He tries to win the fight minute to minute with his activity. He never really have those moments in a fight where he's not being active, right? I think that if Miklev is going to win this fight, because I do want to start providing an opportunity for these guys to potentially win this fight, it's going to be him stealing the close rounds, right? With visible damage. It's going to be him stealing the close rounds with landing the harder and cleaner shots. That's tough to do with a guy at Oban Elliott always moving. So to Evan's point, if we're going to be siding here with Jonathan Miklev here, it's going to be something we just haven't seen from his game just yet. And something we really have not really seen from Oban Elliott's game just yet, which leans me on the side of Oban Elliott, the Welsh gangster. That's where I land. Yeah. I think that's why this guy is going to be able to dictate how this fight goes. Have to be able to move around, land his shots, mix in his grappling. And I just think he has a style that's more pleasing to the judges of control. As long as when he does get him there, he isn't just laying and praying, getting pushed up right away. But I really, really like the idea of Oban Elliott winning this one, being the first underdog of the card to cash. Moving on up the card, we got Jacob Malkoun taking on Torres Finney, my older brother, Torres Finney. Evan, give me your thoughts on this fight, who you got and why.
Yeah, this is another one I feel really strongly about, but not with the underdog. I think Jacob Malkoun is going to absolutely crush this guy. I really
think
do.
So. I
Uh,
think so.
Torres Finney is probably the most one-dimensional fighter on the roster right now. The guy cannot strike at all. He doesn't even try. He runs at a guy, tries to take you down. He's got nasty ground and pound if he can get you on your back, but that's all he is going out there with the sole intention to pick you up, put you on your back, and then try and go for ground and pound.
Yeah.
Jacob Malkoun has already had good takedown defense in his UFC career. It's already been good. He had a really close fight with a top 5 middleweight in Brendan Allen earlier in his career. He really should be 9-2, but he had that controversial disqualification loss to Cody Brundage that he somehow Cody Brundage keeps pulling off. But Jacob Malkoun is an all-around good fighter, and Torres Finney is a good wrestler, and everything else is really bad. I think Jacob Malkoun is going to be able to, even if I'm sure he's probably going to get put down once just because Torres Finney is that strong and that good of a wrestler, but I don't think he's going to be able to be held down. And because of that, I just think Jacob Malkoun is going to get back up. He's the far better striker. He's going to beat him up. I don't think the UFC wants him to win this fight. I'm sure the judges are looking for him to do anything but control the fight. I think Malkoun's going to be the only one that does real damage here. And I honestly think he's going to finish him later off in the fight. But I'm definitely taking Jacob Malkoun in this fight.
Jacob Malkoun via finish, simple as that, plus 270. He's going to find the chin of Torres Finney. He's going to make Torres Finney panic shoot. He's then going to stuff that. He's then going to ground and pound or even get a submission off on himself, although I would not recommend that because he is very, very stocky. It might be hard to sort of find that rear naked choke, but I definitely think Jacob Malkoun is going to win this fight. Plus 270 is a gift. Give it to us. Jacob Malkoun is sort of my favorite value play so far on the card. Value play that makes sense as well, that I'll say. Moving on up the card, Cam Roston taking on Cody Brundage. Let me just say this. If any fight was going to prepare Cam for a Cody Brundage, it was the Andre Petrosky fight, a guy that's going to go out there, not the greatest on the feet, but he does have nasty, he does have a nasty ground game. I feel like Cody Brundage is better than Andre Petrosky on the feet, just a slightly better. He also is the better wrestler out of him and Andre Petrosky, meaning Cody Brundage is. I just think that Andre Petrosky might be the better grappler when the fight gets to the actual ground. That being said, I land with Cam Roston potentially finding an early finish. If he doesn't, though, we've seen Cody Brundage be a vet. We've seen Cody Brundage wear on these guys, and we've seen Cody Brundage ruin a lot of parlays. Hear me out. Alert, alert. Do not put Cam Roston in your parlay. I'm just warning you now because Cody Brundage has this way. If you weren't able to get him out of there early, he is able to keep pushing forward, and finding a way to find a finish. You know two fighters that I think are very similar. If I'm comparing Cody Brundage to anybody, it's Tim Elliott.
Yeah.
Tim Elliott. Cody Brundage might be the middleweight Tim Elliott. Yeah. He might be that guy that is just able to be durable, take his shots early, figure out what you're doing, and then as the fight goes on, just take over. And then all of a sudden he goes from being plus money to looking like a minus 1,500, minus 800 because the young dude is just so out of his depth in this fight. I'm just letting y'all know now for everyone that's watching and people that will be watching this video in a few hours. Take Cam Roston, but if you're going to take Cam Roston, I would take Cam Roston by finish. I don't know if he can beat Cody Brundage in a 15-minute fight. If the fight goes out of the first round, I really believe Cody Brundage is a live dog. He is a guy that I would tell you to look very, very carefully and hard at, as this fight progresses. It might look bad in the first round, but if Cam's gas tank starts to wane, Cody Brundage has made his career out of popping parlays. I'm telling you right now. So just my thoughts. Evan, what are yours?
Yeah, I like that breakdown. Cody Brundage is such an interesting fighter to look at, especially when you look at his record with all those weird results he had. I mean, he lost a fight to Mansour Abdul Malik that's now a draw. He has the disqualification win over Jacob Malkoun. He just kind of he toughs these fights out.
Mm-hmm.
I am gonna pick Cam Ralston in this fight, but I also had my best bet for this is him by knockout at plus 175.
Yeah.
Just because Cody Brundage, he just finds a way to stick around unless you can really put him out of there. And the other thing with Ralston, that goes to your point of as this fight goes on, he might wear down. Ralston is a really big middleweight. He's really tall. He has to cut a lot of weight to make middleweight. And for that, if he can't get a fight done in 5 minutes, you're going to see him start to slow down just because of the weight he's had to cut leading up to the fight. Brundage, not as big of a cut. He's definitely a shorter middleweight than Ralston is. He's proven to have great cardio. He finds a way to stick around, but I think he's just so outclassed on the feet in this fight that unless he's able to close the distance and drag this down, which if Petrosky didn't do, I don't really know if Brundage is going to be able to do it either.
Brundage is a better wrestler, though, which means he has the ability to get the fight to the ground. Petrosky's biggest issue is getting the fight to the ground. Once the fight is on the ground, he's fine. That's the difference between a wrestler and a grappler, right? You might hear the two. You might be like, dude, what are you talking about? You sound stupid. A wrestler is a guy that is great with takedowns, right? Is able to get the fight to the ground, right? But they're not always able to keep the fight per se on the ground, right? Because in wrestling, your whole thing is getting takedowns, landing your takedowns, gaining the points, winning the match, or putting your opponent in a compromising position, wrestling, pinning your opponent, whatever. And when it comes to grapplers' whole thing is they're not the strongest wrestlers, right? They're not the strongest wrestlers. They're the guys that are, like, think about it. Charles Oliveira, he's considered a grappler. He's not a great wrestler, right? Same thing with Paddy Pimblett. He's not a great wrestler, but he's a good grappler. When the fight gets to the ground, these guys are able to implement their will, implement their game plan, and have it work in their best interest. So I say all that to say, Cody Brundage is a better wrestler than Andre Petrosky. He also has better cardio than Andre Petrosky. Weirdly enough, with him being a grappler, he still gets tired when he tries to grapple, right? So I just feel like his I really hope that Cody Brundage is able to keep this fight well within his wheelhouse. I'm curious to see if he's gonna be able to keep this fight well within his wheelhouse. But continue, Evan. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, I was really just gonna say that the reason I'm going with Ralston is I just think the skill gap on the feet is so wide that, and even if Brundage is a better wrestler than Petrosky, I don't know if I'd put him in that like elite wrestler category. He's good, but he's not like elite. I just think if Ralston has a good enough game plan, he's going to be able to pick him apart on the feet and probably finish this fight by an early TKO, and that's where I'm siding in this one.
Okay. So we see it similar that if Ralston's going to win this fight, he's going to find the KO. So let me ask you a question: Do you think if it goes beyond round one, there is a chance that Brundage probably takes this fight over?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think because of Ralston's inexperience and his big weight cut, I think that cardio could be a problem, and Brundage has proven to get better as fights go on. I just don't know. And also when I saw with Brundage, I mean, his last fight was against Eric McConaughey, which Eric McConaughey is not a very good UFC fighter, and that was a ugly dog fight. I'm just not impressed with the skill set of Cody Brundage, so therefore I'm going to go with the guy whose skill set I think is more complete. But if it turns into a fight where Ralston starts to tire, Cody Brundage is absolutely a live dog.
Yes, sir. Want to keep the conversation rolling. By the way, I did not pick a person in that fight just yet. That's going to be on the Patreon on my place. But we got Junior Taffa taking on Billy Anacana. Sorry. I have questions about this fight. I don't know if Junior Taffa truly is a light heavyweight, but he's trying his hand out there, right? Listen, to me, this is very simple. Taffa needs to find a knockout. Billy needs to survive the first round and implement his grappling, his pace, and hopefully wear on Taffa. If he's able to find the takedown on Taffa at some point in this fight, at any point in this fight, as long as it's not within 30 seconds, he's going to win this fight. He's probably going to finish Taffa and probably do it pretty dominantly. But the longer this fight goes, you have to favor Anacana. I think that Tafa has devastating knockout power. Weirdly enough, Elikana has the range, has the one could even say he the cleaner striker. I don't know about that, but I do think that he has his advantages in the striking game. I just would really not advise him to strike with Junior Tafa. I advise him to use his jab to get in on the inside and then land a takedown, whether it be a sweep, and hopefully just wear on him as the fight goes. But I think it's an easy read. Elikana wins with his pace, his cardio, and his grappling. Tafa wins by finding that knockout shot. If he finds a knockout, if he finds the chin of Elikana, he's knocking him out. What are your thoughts, Evan?
Yeah, this one, it's just a shame that this fight is the featured prelim to me. It really is. I mean, this is, I know somehow the Tafa brothers are still getting attention. I just think there's better fights on this prelim card. I think, like we mentioned, Khan Ofli and Yija, or Jonathan Mikulev and Obayan Elliott. Those are just better fights than this. I mean, neither of these guys are guys I view very highly in the light heavyweight division. I don't think either of them are going to make a run at the top 15. But I do think this is an easy read. Unless Junior Tafa goes out there and you said in like 30 seconds finds the chin of Billy Elikana, I think he's just going to get ragdolled. I really don't think this. I mean, I don't even think Billy Elikana really needs to set up much of a takedown. I think he can just go for it. Cover his face and go for it, because Junior Tafa might have some of the worst takedown defense I've ever seen. Tuco Tokos just threw him down, put him in a face crank, and tapped him out like easy. It's Billy Elikana, at least in his last fight, he fought.
So me and Evan agreed on a pick. We both agreed that Billy Elikana is going to win this fight, and it's a damn shame Evan's video just cut out, because we're going to move on up the card. But before we do, if you guys could do us a huge favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. This is becoming like a weekly thing, man, where we're losing Ev as the show goes on. I love it though, man. We've got Quillan Salkield taking on Jamie Malarkey. Let me just say this right now. I know my guy Will Holland is excited to talk about this fight. You want to talk about an absolute killer. That's what Salkield is. He's an absolute killer with devastating power. Jamie Malarkey is there to be hit. I never like looking at a guy who's a minus 1,100 and telling you guys, yeah, bet the guy who's minus 1,100. No, and I'm not going to tell you to do that right now. But I will tell you right now, there is value on Salkield to win this fight in round one. I think when I was looking at it, it was sitting at plus 105. Do you believe Jamie Malarkey can survive? Right? Because Jamie Malarkey has been in some wars. Jamie Malarkey has been, has been existing in the UFC is what I will say. I just don't think he can survive. I don't think he can survive. And I think Salkield is getting this fight out in the first round. I think what I'm trying to find the value on right now, because when I was looking at it earlier, we're going through the fights, the whole 9 yards, trying to make sure you guys win a little bit of coin, right? The method of victory for Salkield to win by KO is minus 130. I get that. And I think that line should be a lot higher than what it is. If you want to take Salkield to win in round one, that's sitting at plus 105. But here's where the value could get interesting. If you want to get real value on this fight, Salkield to win by KO in round one is plus 200. And ladies and gentlemen, there I found you the most valuable prop bet of the card. Salkield to win this fight round one, not in just round one, to win this fight by KO in round one is plus 200. To me, that's better than Salkield to win this fight by KO. That's better than Salkield to win this fight in round one at plus 105. You obviously go with the value pick. We all think Salkield wins this fight via KO. We think if Jamie Malarkey is going to win this fight, it's because he's able to find a takedown, hold him down there, and just survive. But I don't see that playing out that way. I just think he's like the graph says, he's super hittable. Salkield is extremely, extremely lethal on the feet. He's a killer. Simple as that. And I think this fight has potential to end within the first 30 seconds, to be completely honest with you. If you really land something devastating, maybe 30 seconds is a little out there, but maybe like within the first 2 minutes. I definitely believe that. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the line says it. This dude's a killer. And I mean, Jamie Malarkey, I give him a lot of credit for even taking this fight. He's been, he served his purpose as a tough veteran to get past, but yeah, this is a bad matchup for him. Malarkey in his prime, I would have said still would have lost, but like I think he would have at least made this a more fun fight in terms of his durability would have kept him in it. But that
Too much
durability has
punishment.
he's taken too much punishment. That durability has faded off pretty fast now. I could definitely see this ending by round 1 knockout. My only concern with that, and why I do understand why it's plus 200, is sometimes Salkeld, his output in the early part of the fight he likes
Yes.
to feel it out for a little while. I don't think he needs to do that. I think he totally could go out there and just spark him in a minute. But that's why I put on in my article, I had best bet Quillen Salkeld by knockout at minus 130. I do think he is going to finish this fight by knockout. I don't know when it's going to happen. I do like round 1. But yeah, Quillen Salkeld's going to knock this guy out, and he'll continue to surge into and probably get a top 15 matchup his next time out there.
Oh, you had me scared for a second. I know what you're about to say. I thought you were about to say Salkeld took by submission. That's what I thought you were going to go with.
No. I got Salkeld by knockout.
All
Jamie
right.
Malarkey's never been submitted. I don't think this starts now.
So we've got another fight. We want to move on up the card and take Tai Tuivasa taking on Talison Teixeira. Evan, I'll make this simple. Somebody's getting finished in this fight. All of Talison Teixeira's fights have ended within the have ended all by finish. All his victories, damn near, are all by finish. Has the guy even seen a second round?
I don't think so. I really don't.
You know, you look at him to win by knockout, that's sitting at minus 270. That's just a no bueno for me. I think that I side more on Talison Teixeira to win this fight. You know, I would say by KO in rounds 1 or 2, and that's sitting at minus 145. I feel like that's better value there. I think if you want to take Talison Teixeira to win this fight by KO straight up in round 1, that's sitting at plus 140, round 2 plus 450. But don't sleep on Tai Bam Bam Tuivasa here too. I think Tai can find the chin. I think Tai can hurt him. Because I also think that Talison Teixeira is also there to be hit. But what are your thoughts, Evan?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm really siding with Tai Tuivasa in this fight.
Yeah,
not super strong just because he's lost his last 5, but I mean when you look at the 5 he's lost to, he lost to Cyril Gane, he lost to Sergey Pavlovich when he was on top of the world before the Tom Aspinall fight. He lost to Volkov, who's a top 5 heavyweight. He lost to Tybura, who's he's stuck around.
He's Tybura.
Yeah, but he also is a grappler. Talison Teixeira, he has 1 submission win on his record, but this guy's not looking to grapple. He's just not his style. And then he lost to Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Those are like top 15 heavyweight talents, top 10 heavyweight talents. You could even say top 7 for some of those guys. But I just don't view Talison Teixeira in that way. He hasn't done enough for me to think that. His only UFC win is against Justin Tafa, and I mentioned it earlier. The Tafas are not, to me, UFC level fighters. And then he lost to Derek Lewis in 35 seconds. We just saw how bad Derek Lewis looked against Waldo Cortez Acosta. I mean, it was really bad. I don't think Talison Teixeira has good defense. Tai Tuivasa has knocked out a giant before. He knocked out Stefan Struve. He can clearly get his hands up there. Talison Teixeira could totally win this fight just because of somebody's getting knocked out. But I think the bad momentum of Tai Tuivasa has snapped a little bit at this point. He took the time off. He's coming back against a guy who's less proven. He's not trying to rush into a fight right now. He took the 18 months. I'm going with Tai Tuivasa in this one. It could look bad, but I'm gonna go with the Australian underdog.
And honestly, if you think if you're going with Tai Tuivasa, I got to think you're going by Tai Tuivasa via knockout. Yeah. Well, if you want to take Tai Tuivasa via knockout, where do you see that fight happening? Where do you see that happening at?
I think it happens in round 1, really.
Well, that's plus 650. That's plus 650 in round 1.
That's crazy odds to me. Just because Talison Teixeira's defense is so
negligent.
Poor.
No, it's bad. Yeah,
he could just catch him, and I don't think Tai Tuivasa is gonna have the. I think he's just gonna try and go for an early run at him and just try and get him down early. Because I think he knows that with his conditioning, the later this fight goes, probably the worse it is for him.
Yeah.
So I think he just tries and goes for it, and I think he's in my book. I think he's going to find it. I got tied to Ivasa by first round knockout in this
I
one.
kind of like that. I kind of like that. Want to keep on moving up the card. Before we do, make sure you guys do us a favor. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content. We're moving up the card to Rafael Fiziev taking on another member of the Fighting Nerds, Mauricio Rufy. Evan, who you got? Why?
I talked about this right when we first started, that this has the potential to be like one of the best fight on the card, one of the best fights on the card, fight of the month contender. But honestly, I don't know if that's how this fight's going to turn out. When I watched Mauricio Rufy versus Benoit Saint-Denis, I was severely disappointed in Mauricio Rufy's takedown defense and his submission defense when it got there. I know Rafael Fiziev is not a submission guy. He's what we talked about, but he can wrestle a little bit. He's implemented that wrestling into his fights with. He's taken Justin Gaethje down. He took Ignacio Bahamondes down. He does use takedowns to keep his opponents guessing, and I'm just not sure that Mauricio Rufy's takedown defense is very good at all. I like Rafael Fiziev in this fight at plus 105. I think he's a good underdog pick. I just need to see Mauricio Rufy be a little more all around before I can really pick him against a guy like Fiziev. I think this is a big step up from his best win, which is King Green. I just think Fiziev is the far more well-rounded fighter. And at this point in their career, Fiziev hasn't shown me that he's taken a big step back. So I'm going to take Rafael Fiziev to win this fight.
Man, this is an interesting fight for so many different reasons. But to your point, I think the question is, who do you think is the better striker here? Because that's the question here. Because I don't see Fiziev as a guy that's just going to go out there and just be, instill a heavy grappling approach. He can get the fight to the ground. We've seen him take guys down. We've seen him take down Justin Gaethje. We know he can get the takedown. The question mark, though, there still is, even though if he gets one takedown, can he continue to implement the game plan? And when he gets the fight to the ground, is he going to really threat submissions? What is the plan there? Is this delay and pray? It seems like the UFC is not favoring that style more of, and that's not Fiziev at all. Fiziev is a striker through and through at heart. I just don't know if Fiziev is a better striker than Mauricio Rufy. I do believe that, you watch clips and you see Fiziev can throw all these weird different kicks, and he can punch from all these different angles, and he has good boxing. I don't think Fiziev is great defensively. I think he's there to be hit. And with that being said, I think I've got to side with Mauricio Rufy, man, because I think Mauricio Rufy is the better striker here. I think Mauricio Rufy is going to be able to hurt Fiziev. And we've seen Fiziev in these fights. He tends to wear a lot of the damage. And, the first criteria of who wins a fight is damage. Honestly, it's damage, output. I just don't know if Fiziev is going to be able to find Mauricio Rufy. And I just think that Rufy is going to look a step ahead, a class above on the feet. I think that I agree with Danny on the comment section. Concerned Rufy is a little output in his cardio. I don't know if it's I don't know if I necessarily have issues with Rufy's cardio unless he's going up against a heavy grappler that's going to look to take him down. I've got to think that, or hope that Rufy shored up that side of his game. That all being said, I think Rufy's the better striker here, or I would say he is the better in-fight striker. Fiziev does a lot of feints and stuff like that, but it doesn't always amount to damage or even output. It's just a lot of stuff. Let me throw a lot of stuff out there, make you think, make you hesitate, make you guess. And I just feel like this is the kind of fight where egos might play a part. Fiziev might say, I'm going to prove to you that I'm a better striker. And I would not advise that in this fight. For that reason, I think Mauricio Rufy wins this fight. And I think I agree with Daniel. I wouldn't put it past him to be able to find a KO, although I think that's far less likely. I do like the odds makers getting it correct with Mauricio Rufy. He just needs to up the output a little bit. And that's not just him. That's all the Fighting Nerds guys. That's with John Silva. That's with him. Carlos Prates even at some points. But these guys are finishers through and through. I think Mauricio Rufy and Carlos Prates are two of the most dangerous fighters of Fighting Nerds. And I knew, and mind you, I'm the same guy that picked him to lose against Benoit Saint-Denis because I value and rate Benoit Saint-Denis that high. I just don't think Rafael Fiziev is on that same level. I think he is just a point fighter personally. who has a very well-rounded game. I just don't know if the well-rounded game will be enough to fend off Mauricio Rufy. So for that, Evan and I are at odds. I got Mauricio Rufy. He has Hafil Vazeev. Let's keep the fight moving on up. We've got our co-main event, Dan Hooker taking on Benoit Saint Denis. Evan, I'll make this simple for you really quickly on my pick. I just don't like this matchup for Dan Hooker. I think that this is too much too soon. Benoit Saint Denis is a finisher. He's a killer through and through. And I think he's going to find the submission on Dan Hooker. I think he's going to hurt him on the feet. Dan Hooker is not going to really know what to do. I know Dan Hooker's always going to be gamed and stuff like that, but this just feels like a little bit too much. I think the Frenchman is going to wind up getting him out of there. And maybe Benoit Saint Denis to win this fight via submission.
Yeah, I can't really dispute that. I saw this fight and I just felt immediately like this was a rush for Dan Hooker just to get on the Australia card. He lost bad to Arman Sarukian, and that was only that was less than 3 months ago. He lost bad to Arman Sarukian. I know he lost by submission, but he also got pretty beat up in that fight as well. He didn't walk out of there with no damage done to him. Dan Hooker has some of the most accumulated damage of anybody in the UFC, but just it feels like to get beat up and then to come back less than 3 months later against somebody as dangerous as Benoit Saint Denis, it just feels like a rushed fight. Benoit Saint Denis, ever since losing to Renato Moicano, has clearly taken the note and been a lot more. He's improved his fight IQ a good bit since that loss. He was way too kill or be killed, and that reared its ugly head against Dustin Poirier, and then he gassed out completely against Renato Moicano. And ever since then, he hasn't been afraid to use his grappling when needed. He clearly has power. He knocked Beneil Dariush out in like 15 seconds. This guy is ultra dangerous. Dan Hooker has historically had a good chin. I don't think he's going to get knocked out in this fight. And really the only thing I see with Benoit Saint Denis that's going to get him in trouble as he moves up the ranks is I'm also not very sure about how his durability is. We saw it with Dustin Poirier. He landed a couple clean shots and Benoit went down. Moicano beat him up bad. The thing with Hooker is Hooker has never been known to have strong one-punch power. He's more of like I'm going to pick you apart and beat you up. I don't think Benoit's going to let that happen. I really like Benoit to do some damage on the feet, get him onto the ground. My pick was Benoit Saint Denis by second round submission in this fight.
You know, I want to touch on something you brought up. You brought up the fact that Benoit Saint Denis, last time we saw him, you know, you talk about, well, not last time we saw him, but the last time we saw his durability truly tested was, you know, in the Dustin Poirier. Then he went on to take Renato Moicano. I don't like to say many things are a fluke, and I love Renato Moicano, but I think the Renato Moicano victory was a fluke. I do. I think that BSD, and mind you, I was the guy that picked Dustin Poirier to win this fight. I think BSD had his confidence snapped a little bit after fighting Dustin Poirier, seeing Dustin withstand those shots, because he hurt Dustin. He hit Dustin with some big shots. And I remember live betting him because I said that was the key to victory. Dustin Poirier was going to look bad in the beginning, and then BSD was going to fade over after Dustin starts landing his shots. And exactly what happened. And Dustin got him out of there. And it was pretty bad. And I just think that he, you know, I believe I'm looking up right now. That fight took place March 9th, 2024. BSD then returned September of that same year and took on Renato Moicano. I just thought that was just a little bit too soon. It was a lot considering the magnitude of the fight he just had fought at UFC 299 against Dustin Poirier. The hope, you know, vault him into title status. I think that Renato Moicano, you know, met the opportunity. He met the opportunity. He was a guy that said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take advantage of this. This dude is broken in there. This guy's not the most confident. He was running through everybody. Let me run through him. And that's sort of what happened in that fight. Ever since then, Benoit Saint Denis has just been on an absolute tear, living up to his name, the God of War through and through. Right. I think Benoit is a guy that's going to truly make a run at this thing here in the lightweight division. And I think he is an absolute beast here. And I really feel bad for Dan Hooker because this might be Dan Hooker's last fight. Because I don't know if Dan Hooker really has a future or what's next, right? Considering what might happen to him at lightweight division. He might have to reconsider some things here. But Benoit Saint Denis wins this fight to me more oftentimes than not. But I wouldn't judge him so much off of the 2-fight skid that he had, because I thought that the second fight was more of indicative of what happened, with the biggest loss of his career against a guy who, let's face it, was an absolute beast in his prime at the point in time, and Dustin Poirier. So we'll see how Benoit Saint Denis continues to track. Moving on up to our main event, the featherweight championship is on the line. UFC featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski is taking on Diego Lopez for the second time, right? Last time we saw these two match was UFC 314. Now we're seeing these two match here at UFC 325. And to me, it's a little simple, right? I felt like Diego Lopez had a lot of respect and still has a lot of respect for Alexander Volkanovski. It felt like Diego Lopez wasn't letting it all go right away. And then when he did, he was able to crack Volkanovski, was able to hurt Volkanovski. But from a pure technical standpoint, Alexander Volkanovski was just able to weather the storm, get his wits about him, and work Diego Lopez. This fight has a similar outcome unless Diego Lopez is able to find a finish. What we've seen recently from Diego Lopez is more aggressive, more intentional, making sure every single time he's out there, he's looking for a finish. And I've got to think, having been in there with, right, an Alexander Volkanovski, he's going to try and look to make the most of it. I think that's why he wanted to fight with Movsar Evloev again. I think Diego Lopez wanted to prove that, hey, I can beat Movsar Evloev, because you guys saw what I was able to do in my UFC debut on short notice against him. Give me an opportunity. I'm curious to see what Diego Lopez looks like in rematches. I reckon he's going to look all right. I reckon he could find a finish on Alexander Volkanovski, but I can't escape that in the back of my head. Will the low output, will the too much respect, the too much gamesmanship of, hey, I'm fighting against a guy who I have a lot of respect for, will that cloud his judgment of being aggressive a little bit too much in there? Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is when we saw this fight back in April. We saw this fight a little less than a year ago, so we have a really good read on what this could be. And you mentioned it. I think Diego Lopez had a lot of respect for Alexander Volkanovski in that first fight. I think it showed. Leading up to that fight, Diego Lopez was known just for going all out there, letting it all out. He's got awesome offensive weapons both on the feet and on the ground. I mean, I don't want to forget that this guy, he's got 12 submissions to his name.
Yes.
He's built his back off being, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach. He's an elite grappler. I don't know if that's really going to come into play here, because Volk has great takedown defense. He made Islam Makhachev work for those takedowns at 155. So I don't know if Diego Lopez is just going to be able. He couldn't do it in the first fight. I don't think he's going to be able to do it in this one either. I think this is going to look a lot like the first fight in terms of where it takes place. I think it's going to be almost exclusively a striking fight. But I really think the only way Diego Lopez wins this fight is if he does find the chin of Volkanovski, which I do think is a real possibility. Volk has been knocked out twice in the last couple of years, really bad. He got knocked out really bad by Islam Makhachev, and he got knocked out even worse by Ilia Topuria. I saw him take a really, really big shot from Diego Lopez in that first fight. That uppercut that Diego Lopez landed in the second round was brutal. I mean, he had it all the way back and landed it clean. And when he went down, I thought he was out, but he wasn't. He got back up. There's always that chance that Diego Lopez finds it and Volkanovski goes out. I don't think Volkanovski's game has slowed down in the last 9 months. I think he's going to look the same technically. I don't think that the speed has dropped off for Volkanovski in the last 9 months. Just what we saw in that fight, I do think Volkanovski is a level ahead of Diego Lopez technically. But I do want to talk about the Jean Silva and Diego Lopez fight, because Lopez won. He looked great doing so. But there were moments in that fight where Jean Silva was landing some really big shots on Diego Lopez. I do have some concerns about Diego Lopez's defense. Volkanovski landed a lot of shots on him in their first fight. I think he's going to be able to do it again. I think if Volkanovski doesn't get too he doesn't try too hard to like have a big moment in front of his home crowd. If he tries to have that big moment, he rushes in, he might get caught. I think if he fights the right fight here, and I think he probably will because of his experience, I think this is going to look a lot like the first fight. I think Alexander Volkanovski is going to win a decision here.
Man, this is a banger of a fight. This is a banger of a card. And listen, we appreciate you guys for talking it through with us, having the conversation, having all the debates of what might take place. This is interesting to me. To me, this is extremely interesting. I'm looking forward to this card for a lot of the reasons. Again, some of the fighters are lesser known, but we're seeing a resurge of talent here in the UFC. And guys, we're excited about UFC 324 was last week. We had a great look at the UFC Paramount Plus debut. And now we get our second fight, right? Our second card. And man, me and Evan just appreciate you guys for tuning in each week. Remember, we're live every single Friday at noon, as long as there's a card, as we'll be breaking down the pay-per-views, the fight nights, and everything in between. Listen, we hope that you guys enjoy your fights. We hope that you guys enjoy everything that UFC has to offer this upcoming week. Let us know in the comment section what your favorite fight is and what you're looking forward to. Again, if you guys could do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn post notifications on so you guys never miss when we go live or upload content. There's only one way you should be waking up, watching sports, talking sports, getting ready for the fights, subscribing to the TWS and Patreon so you get me and Evan's official best bets and plays, and that is the right way. We'll see you guys next Friday, everyone.
This is TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well, you better know now because it's